So guys, last class we studied about identity resolution in Salesforce Data Cloud. We understood that we can bring data from multiple different sources and can map it to individual. So if we have a single profile present at multiple different data sources, data source objects like leads, contacts, SFMC subscriber, or any other third party database, we can bring them and map it to individual if it is a profile category of data. So a single individual would have multiple individual IDs of a same customer or a profile present at different source systems. So if you look this diagram, we have different sources like Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, e-commerce, shipment platforms, where we have different profiles of a same customer. And what we have done is to harmonize them to have a single unified profile. We first map to the individual object and then we wrote identity resolution rule. Inside identity resolution rule, we considered individual object and we wrote rule like fuzzy name and normalized email, which was a default rule provided by Salesforce to unify the customer profiles into a single unified profile. The identity resolution would work with matching rules and reconciliation rules to unify individual profiles. So the identity resolution rule we have worked in our system was Peoplewoo identity resolution rule. In this Peoplewoo's identity resolution rule, we wrote a reconciliation rule where we want to unify those profiles who have first name, who have last name, and who have email address. The first name, the last name, the email address we have kept as low precision. We have kept as low precision. First name we can have low precision, last name we can have exact or low precision, whatever we want, based on the type of data available. This you have to discuss with your client how confident they are about the profiles they have at multiple source systems. If they are not at all confident, if they have a doubt that a same customer can have multiple different first names and last names, then we go with low precision. If they are bit confident, then medium precision, and if they are confident, we can have exact as well. So generally we keep first name as fussy, low precision, last name as exact, and email address as exact normalized, so that we get matching profiles unified. But it is up to you which precision you want to take. We earlier took exact last name, then I modified it to low precision. Both will work. Based on the profiles are unified, you can look what are the percentages of unified profiles available. If it is successfully unifying most of the profiles, then it is a good rule we have set. So if you look here, this is people whose identity resolution rule set. It found 62 source profiles, 12 source profiles are matched, and 55 profiles are unified. The consolidation rate is 11%. That means there are 55 unified profiles out of 62 source profiles which are unified. Now, how to check what all profiles are unified? We know that whenever we have defined identity resolution and we have defined reconciliation rules, we have another type of DMOs enabled, which are known as unified profiles or unified individual DMOs. Like we had data model object for individuals, we have individual contact point address, contact point email, contact point phone, contact point social. All these are containing data of an individual. But once we have set up a reconciliation rule, identity resolution rule, we will get unified individuals as well. we will get unified individuals as well. So we can go to all data model objects, and we can go to unified individual objects. You will find unified individual. So now there are two different unified individuals. One is with individual PWUI, individual with SHUI. Because in our practice org, we have set up two different identity reconciliation rules. People are practicing in this org, they have defined their own rule sets. So as number of identity resolution rules you define, the number of unified individual objects are enabled. But let's consider the unified individual identity reconciliation rule which I have set, which is PWUI. So against this identity resolution rule set, we have unified individuals enabled. We have unified individual, then we have unified individual contact point address, unified individual contact point email, unified individual contact point phone, unified individual party objects. So these are the objects which are only enabled whenever we have identity resolution set. Now let's explore the data and see how many profiles are reconciled, or how many profiles are unified into a single unified individual profile. So for that we have Data Explorer. In Data Explorer, first we will go to data model object, and we will look what are the individuals available. What are the individuals available? In this individual, we have plenty of data coming from different sources. We will click on edit column and will bring most important data which can help us see how identity resolution worked. So we will remove all unwanted fields from here so that the data looks clear to us. So we have individual ID, first name and last name, and we don't find any other data relevant here. So you see that we have individual ID, we have first name, we have last name. Many first name and last name are common with different individual IDs, because we have collected multiple data sources to three different Salesforce orgs. We got subscriber profile data from Marketing Cloud. We integrated custom data extension from Marketing Cloud. So we are getting multiple profiles, okay, with first name, last name having common. Now what we will do, we will duplicate this tab and we will open another data model object which is contact point email, because in our reconciliation rule we have considered first name, last name and email address as the reconciliation criteria. So we will open contact point individual contact point email as well. And what we will do here, we will edit columns and remove unwanted attributes so that we can clearly analyze how the reconciliation rule has worked. So we see here that we have contact point email ID and email address. And here what we have, individual ID, first name and last name. So all these individuals will have first name, last name in this data model object, which is individual, as well as individual IDs are mapped to contact point email IDs. Whenever we were studying the mapping of data streams, we mapped the unique key with contact point email ID. You can refer the previous lecture, and the email address of those IDs are available. Now what we will do, we will pull first individual ID here, okay, whose individual ID is this, first name is this and last name is this. What we will do, we will click on add filter, and we will apply a filter on name, which is first name. Once we have applied filter on first name, what we find is we find around 6 different profiles having common first name and common last name, but are available with different individual IDs. So guys, ideally these IDs should reconcile into a single unified profile, provided their email addresses are same. So let's check if these individual IDs are having common email address or not. If they might have different email address, the reconciliation rule might create multiple profiles, multiple unified individual profiles. So if I pick here this individual ID, if I go and click on filter option, and if I go here and if I add a filter on contact point email ID, which is nothing but the individual ID in the mapping, we will find that this individual ID has this email address, which is harshit.suri@peoplewoo.com. The same way, we can add another ID to check if it has the same email address. We will check another ID and see if it has same email address. The another ID has different email address, guys. That means there are two different email addresses. Though first name, last names are common, but the third major criteria of identity resolution was email address, exact normalized email address. And what we see here is exact normalized email address is different from what we searched previously. So guys, there are two different email addresses here. That is why we won't get a single unified profile for all these individual IDs. So let's check how many email addresses or how many individuals are available with this email address inside the system. So what we will do, we will change our filter criteria on email address. Once we change our criteria on email address, we will find 3 different individual IDs with this email address. If we copy this email individual ID and search it here, you will see that this individual ID has a different email address. If we copy it here and search it here, then this email address, this individual ID also has the same email address. And if we copy it here and search it here, this individual ID has the same email address. That means all these 3 individual IDs would be reconciled into a single unified individual. To see how reconciliation work is working, we have another DMO which is called as Unified Individual Link DMO. Unified Individual Link DMO will help us understand how it took data from individual object, matched the reconciliation rule, and converted into a unified individual. So we have to search unified individual link data model object. There is a unified individual data model object, but there is also a unified individual link data model object. Link data model object will help us understand link between individuals and unified individuals. So let me find out where we can find unified individual link object. So you see here unified link. So these are the link objects. Unified individual link object for our unified profile. We'll click on edit column. We'll move all the unnecessary fields here. We'll keep individual ID and we'll keep unified individual ID. So now we have individual ID and unified individual ID. What we will do, as these 3 individuals are having same email address, that means these should be reconciled into a same unified individual profile. That means they should have a single unified individual number, or you can say a single unified individual ID, because these three different profiles are reconciled into a single unified individual profile. So all those three different individuals which you see here will have a common unified individual ID after reconciliation rule. So what we will do, we will copy this individual ID here, and in this table, which is a link table, we will search for that particular individual ID. Once we have searched for that particular individual ID, you see it also has an auto generated unified individual ID. Now this unified individual ID should be common to these three individual IDs, because based on our reconciliation rule, where we have first name, last name and email address, these should be reconciled into a single individual, or you can say unified individual. So what we will do here, we will remove that filter on individual ID and we will keep this unified individual ID as a filter, which will help us give the number of individuals unified. So now I kept this unified individual ID as filter, and you see that all these three different individual IDs are having a same common unified individual ID. These three individuals which you see here, this one having email address same, this one having email address same, and this one having email address same, are reconciled into a single profile. These three individuals are reconciled into a single profile. So this is how reconciliation rule has worked. All these three different individuals are mapped to a single unified ID. The same way, guys, you can see that the other profiles, other individuals which are having a different email address. For example, if I go here and if I change my email address, so there are plenty of profiles which are having same email address. I changed the email address, but you see that there are different individuals. Okay, some are Salesforce IDs, lead or contact IDs, and some are defined as another IDs which are the custom IDs which we brought from Salesforce Marketing Cloud data extension. Review my previous class. Now, ideally, what should happen? As these are having common individual email addresses, these should be reconciled into a common unified individual, provided their first name and last name should be common. If I go here, you see that only these profiles are having common first name and last name. If we go and cross verify, this profile is having the common first name and last name, then this unified individual is having common first name and last name, and this common individual is having common first name and last name. But will these profiles also have common first name and last name? If they have, then only these all will be reconciled into a single profile. Else, it will create multiple individual profiles. These three are having common first name, last name, and email address will be again reconciled into a single profile. If you want to verify, you can copy this individual ID, go to the link object and search here that particular individual. So this is the individual for which we have a unified individual ID. Now this and this individual are having common email addresses plus common first name and last name. That means this unified individual ID should be mapped to three different individual IDs. Three different individual IDs. You see here, The same unified profile is mapped to three different individual IDs, which can be found here. Which can be found here. Which can be found here. But guys, what about these? These are also having the common email address. But what about their first name and last name? If you copy this individual ID and if you go here and search that individual ID, then it might have a different first name which is F4 and L4, and it has email address this, which is common to other individual IDs. As it is having different first name and last name, it won't have a unified individual ID similar to this one, because our identity resolution says that first name, last name, and normalized email address. But here email address is normalized one, first names and last names are exactly different. If you see here, if you consider this individual ID, you might find a different first name and last name. You might find a different first name and last name, F3 and L3. This is totally different. So now this individual ID would have a separate unified individual. This individual ID will have a separate unified individual. This individual ID will have a separate unified individual because it also has a different first name and last name. It also has a different first name and last name. So here the reconciliation rules are not matching. Though they have a common email address, the reconciliation rules are not matching. Every profile has a different email address, has a common email address, but a different first name and last name. So these will have different unified profiles. It won't map into a single unified profile. So what you can do, you have to map or create a single unified profile for each and every matching email address, or there is a criteria that if different source systems has the common email address, map them into a single unified profile. You have to go and tweak the identity resolution. The identity resolution rule should be changed. The identity resolution rule should be changed. We kept first name, last name, and email address, but you can have any other custom rule. Because everywhere it is containing first name and last name and normalized email, phone number as a default rule. You can have a custom rule here. On individual, the custom rule can be defined not on individual because it don't have email address. It can be defined on contact point email, where email address should be exact match. So this is the only custom rule you can keep. Remove the previous default rule, then only you will be able to map all the matching profiles having common email address. But generally we keep first name, last name, and email address. If you want to, you can keep phone number as well. So out of many individual profiles, guys, we managed to unify a lot of different common matching profiles. So out of suppose 10 profiles you are left with 3 to 4 different profiles. It is still reducing a cost, because earlier you have to market all those individual IDs from Marketing Cloud. It would have created 10 different profiles in Marketing Cloud if you are going to send email, SMS, push notification. But now after unification, if you activate this data to Marketing Cloud for marketing purposes, you will have lesser number of profiles, more targeted communications, and you will be able to reduce the cost. This is how we work with identity resolution.